from what we have, I would be comfortable saying that KRIS, at the very least, knew Shad was drawing a lot of lolicon stuff, which is bad. Do we know that KRIS had definitive knowledge that Shad drew real children? No. It's pretty bad. All right. With that being said, chat, if you want to debate me, if you think I'm wrong, hop in. I'm not looking for people who agree with me. I'm looking for people to debate me. Smaggle is posting the Discord link in chat. Eli Frank. Hello, Eli. Are you there? Eli!
Oh, what? How am I here?
You called into the stream.
Oh, okay, so I kind of feel like KRIS TYSON, he didn't really do much wrong. I feel like what he did obviously was f***ed up, but I don't think there's enough to get like a legality involved.
Technically, from what we've seen, I don't think there's anything illegal. I wouldn't say he didn't do much wrong. I wouldn't say that's the case.
I would say the lolly porn it's wrong because it's literally just child but drawn. But everything else is just kind of okay. But I still feel like the Mr. Beast stuff, like the one where he's saying, "I put my dick in her," that's f***ed up, bro. Like, come on.
To be clear, I wouldn't say it's okay. I wouldn't say what KRIS did is okay.
Yeah, of course it's not.
I don't think it's okay. I don't know if there's proof of grooming, but I would not say that. I would not say the comments KRIS made were okay. I would never say that. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, the grooming, there's no evidence of him grooming anybody. It's just more CP stuff.
Yeah, it seems like people are using a different definition. Okay, sorry. Did you just say it's grooming and not grooming and more CP stuff? I'm sorry. I think you need to change your wording there. What?
No, like not CP stuff. Like the lolicon stuff.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, from what I can tell, there isn't direct evidence of them grooming a child in the sense that they were grooming a kid with the intent of them. That seems to not be the case. If you want to say it's a different definition of grooming, maybe we can talk about that. But I would not say that there's no. I would not say there's. I would not say that. I don't think KRIS should be defended. I don't think every claim made about them is totally accurate. That's all I'm saying.
I think him kind of being friends with the like younger kids is kind of f***ed up though. Like you're so old, you shouldn't be hanging out with little kids.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean,
yeah.
Especially if something bad happened between them, which we can see there's like really weird stuff going on, but I just don't have evidence that he groomed or got nudes from them. Yeah. But anyway, thanks for calling.
Yeah. See you, Tom.
All right. Gage, what's up?
What's up? Okay, so I do have a hot take, I think. First of all, I don't think the Shadman thing is as bad as everyone's making it out to be. And I also don't think that the like Discord messages are really that bad. I feel like it's getting blown out of proportion, especially when people compare it to Dr. Disrespect. I think you cannot compare those two at all.
Okay, could you explain yourself?
Okay, so first of all, I think Shadman overall is a bad person. I think we can all agree on this. I mean, first of all, drawing an actual child as like a lolly art is just that is insane. Okay. But I don't think you can hold KRIS accountable as in saying like, or Ava, whatever you want to say, as in like he knew everything that Shadman was all about. I think if we look back to 2016, 2017, most people, or not most people, but a lot of edgier creators, they did like Shadman. They would repost his stuff. They talk to him. And I don't think like, I don't know, you cannot call this CP and compare this on any type of level to CP, in my opinion at least. And I also don't think like
you can't call it literal child because there's not a literal child being like abused. Although you can kind of say that in the case of drawing the real children, I think you can say it with there, but it's still not. That doesn't mean it's good, right? I don't think it's. Yeah, it's not good.
But I definitely, it's obviously not a good look. Like I would not want to be caught with that, right? But
and also, do you think it's like I feel like it's, you know, we don't have evidence that KRIS knew about the real children being drawn, but don't you think it's reasonable to assume if they were a big fan? We've seen them responding to Shad a lot. We've seen that they went on his website once for shouting him out. Like, to me, it's hard to believe that you could be such a big fan of Shad and go through his website so much and not know most of the stuff that was going on, right? Like, I feel like it's kind of, it just seems dumb.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think I can also think like, okay, for example, someone like you, I feel like I watch a lot of your videos. I think I keep up. I watch a decent amount of streams, but I definitely wouldn't say like I've known everything you've done, especially, you know, maybe in the past or maybe even just like 6 months ago. I don't know. And but okay, maybe despite the Shadman thing, I also think the making sexual jokes with a 13-year-old, 16-year-old, whatever in his Discord server, and even like, dare I say, even opening channels to the underage kids. I think it's incredibly irresponsible of him, and obviously he should be criticized for it. But I do not think, or she, sorry, I do not think she should be like ostracized, or I can't think of the word, but like kicked out of the internet
Ostracized?
for it. Ostracized, yeah.
I mean,
I just don't.
I think there could be a lot of criticism, and if people want to ostracize them, I don't feel bad for them. I just think that there's not definitive evidence that they specifically groomed the lava person, right? I haven't seen specific evidence of that. I don't think it's okay, but
I feel like maybe I'm just like not like maybe I don't know. I definitely have a biased view on this because I've definitely been like I mean obviously you have too, been on a more edgier side of the internet, but I just think like what people are, especially with a lot of these commentary videos, it's like she was only 14 in the thumbnail, and obviously it's clickbait, but it's kind of like I don't know. I almost feel bad for Ava or KRIS because it's like this is really getting blown out of proportion, and I mean getting kicked out of Mr. Beast, and he says or she says she's not going to be on the internet anymore. My hot take is that I do not think it's that bad. I think the Shad Man is bad, but even though I just don't think anything can be compared to. And people comparing this to Dr. Disrespect, I think like Dr. Disrespect committed an actual like act that we know that's confirmed. Nothing KRIS or nothing Ava did, in my opinion, was anything, and that's just kind of what my quote unquote hot take of this is.
I mean, wouldn't you agree that we know more about what Kris Tyson did than what Dr.
The thing is, like,
Disrespect
I
did?
kind of disagree. Like, is it in the way that KRIS got nudes from a child? From what I've seen, no. But I still think that the lolly stuff, in my opinion, that is kind of.
Yeah, definitely having a poster on your wall is not looking good.
And it's more than that. It's like there's like a body of evidence of them being like, you know, one of the Reddit comments was like, why would I have a VR headset for anything other than lolly gang? You know, like obviously like one of those jokes out of context could be like, oh, okay, whatever. But like when you have like 30 of them and you're like responding to Shadman all the time, being like, Shad, please do this, please. Like KRIS knew what he was doing, you know? Take it easy.
Yep, thank you.
What's
Gage,
up,
What's up? We're talking about Kris Tyson, right?
yes.
Okay. I'm just gonna get right into it. I don't want to bore the viewers. I think the one thing that annoys me about pretty much everyone who speaks about this situation is how like people choose like focus on one specific thing that has happened, and then say, oh well, everything else isn't a big deal. This is the actual big deal. I feel like we have like big enough brains to be able to handle like more than two pieces of allegations at a time.
So you're
Like,
saying
it's all
you're
bad.
saying like in totality, when you put it all together and put it on KRIS, it's clear that they're. Is that what you're saying?
No, sorry. What I mean is that like people are taking one thing and then saying this is the actual issue. I think it's all of it is an issue. It's a combined issue. We can't just like separate it down to individual chunks and go like, well, this is the actual bad thing, and then like the other stuff doesn't really matter that much because in totality it is a problem.
Well, then what is your conclusion at the end of the day then?
So I don't know if Kris Tyson is but it's pretty obvious that she should be ostracized from, I guess, the Mr. Beast crew, right? It's not appropriate.
I completely agree, especially when it's like a kid-friendly brand and like,
yeah,
you know, it's just even if there's no inherent risk of KRIS one of those kids, I just don't, like I wouldn't be comfortable having like somebody that I know is like jacking into lolly all the time around kids. You know, I wouldn't be cool with that.
Yeah. I mean, the texting stuff, I mean, there are like a crazy amount of messages coming out, but at least some of the ones that I've seen, it's like it's freakishly weird, but it's hard to say whether it's. I mean, they're not. There's no grooming that's happening. Grooming is like you're like setting them up for a sexual relationship. There's nothing that really seems like that to me. But kind of that stuff being released, it just kind of opened the floodgates a little bit for everything to come back out.
Yeah,
And
I mean the thing is like
everyone...
I kind of agree with the point you're making, which is like there doesn't seem to be a specific victim that was groomed in this situation. That's like the victim of, but KRIS themselves is still a person, regardless of
exactly.
that, right? Like that would
like,
probably be like the conclusion I would draw.
The problem is all this, like, because all these small isolated controversies, it's kind of like a drip feed, and it's hard. Normally when like this stuff comes out, it's all big all at once and it's all destroyed, right? But if you have like one allegation every 2 years and they're like kind of small ones, it's very easy for people to get away with it. But I mean, the floodgates have kind of opened, everything's been like relitigated, and now I think we can all pretty much agree that this person probably should have never been associated with a children's brand in the first place, considering like their record.
I completely agree. Yeah, maybe. I mean, you know, the biggest criticism I could give Mr. Beast, especially from a business perspective, is like having that kind of person on your brand or whatever. Like when you've gotten it as big as it is, like you've got to drop that person at some point, especially if you're going to be
That's
like
true.
such a family friendly PC person in current day, and then you have all these like skeletons in Chris's closet, you know.
That's true, but to lend him a little bit of credibility and charitability, this person's like his childhood friend. It's kind of easy to imagine you might have like rose-tinted glasses in this kind of situation.
Oh, of course. To be clear, I don't think that Mr. Beast protected them or even knew all the shit they were up to. I think that's a dumb claim to make without evidence. Dumb claim to make. You know, you can think, you can have questions about it, but once again, my thing with this entire thing is just like evidence. I want to see evidence, and that's the biggest concern right now, I think. But well, what's up?
Do you think he was at least vaguely aware? Because there is that video that was of Mr. Beast and Chris where the lolly art was
He was
shown.
probably vaguely aware that Chris was a fan, but he probably, if I had to guess, I mean, you know, I'd like to see evidence of this claim, but I don't think you can rather than I had to guess, I'll say I don't think you can definitively say that he knew everything that Shad was up to or the stuff that Finster was into, right?
Yeah.
I don't
And
think you
then
can say that.
also, why would your opinion change if I said that they cut out that part of the video inside the video? It was like 12 minutes long, the video, and now it's 10 minutes because of
Well, it
this.
depends on when it was cut out.
It depends on when and why. I mean, the thing is, like, just because it's cut, it might have been that Chris just messaged him was like, "Hey, this is a bad look for you. You should cut this out." And Mr. Beast didn't think twice about it. It could be that It could be that Chris Tyson came to Mr. Beast and was like, "Hey, I'm a lolicon. Can you cut this out because it looks bad?" It could be either of those. But like, I just don't know. I don't know. You know, and I have to know.
It's the two kind of like, so this is how a lot of people are choosing to see it. Either Chris Tyson was like a complete Shadman fan, watched every single drawing, had it all saved, organized, categorized, literally a complete super fan.
Tax folder. Yeah.
Or the other side, like, oh, they were only aware of like some of the funny SpongeBob drawings and maybe a few pieces of art, but I mean, like, they weren't. I feel like we're high IQ enough to say like it might be somewhere in the middle. It's like we're not going to figure out.
From what we have, I would be comfortable saying that Chris, at the very least, knew Shad was drawing a lot of lolicon stuff, which is bad. Do we know that Chris had definitive knowledge that Shad drew real children? No. I kind of feel like it's hard to believe that Chris didn't, just given the fact that Chris was such a big fan and was on his website. But at the same time, when I posted my video about Shadman years ago, most people just knew that he drew lolly stuff, and they didn't know that he drew real children, right? That stuff was kind of... It was unknown to them, to the fans at least. So it's hard to say. He knew and requested lolly. He requested lolly. He didn't request lolly of a real child. Requesting lolly is still bad, and that should be absolutely criticized and condemned. And you know, Chris Beast should be kicked from Mr. Beast's team. But I don't know. I don't know if Chris 1000% knew that Shadman drew Daphne Keene being.
It's because obviously Chris Tyson has like done enough stuff for us to look at it and go like, yeah, this person is like obviously reprehensible. But the problem is, just because they're reprehensible, you can't go back and then have like the most, oh yeah, they're like Satan. You have to kind of be balanced in some respects, because if you go all the way to the extreme, you kind of lose all amount of like credibility in the allegations that you're making. We kind of have to be measured here. Otherwise, it's very easy for like some outside observers to go, oh, well, they're obviously overdoing it. It's quite clear. You kind of you give them an opportunity to escape with some amount of significant public support. And if everything we're seeing right now is true, that's probably like an awful idea.
Right. Okay. All right. I'm gonna call Vegan Gains. I'm done with debates apart from him,
All
I think. But I'm gonna call Vegan Gains, and then we're gonna get into other B stuff. Let's do it. Vegan Gains wants to talk. Yo.
Hey.
What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, so with the lolicon stuff, I think there's a little bit of pearl clutching going on here. And the reason I say that is, one, I haven't heard a good argument yet, and I'm open to changing my opinion on this, but I'm a free speech advocate. I think there are certain forms of speech that should be banned, like hate speech. And when we have this moral opinion about lolicon content, I don't know of any way to justify, say, banning lolicon content without banning other explicit or controversial forms of art. The only argument that I've been able to come up with personally is that it could be considered hate speech. So if you're making artwork that is supposed to encourage child sexual exploitation, I would consider that something like hate speech. I don't know if that's the kind of intention behind Shad's artwork. In that case, I think, yeah, that is morally reprehensible and something like that should be banned. But I know some people in the lolly community. There's one member of my channel who's like a lolly freak. They kind of make it a point that they're not interested in children. They're just interested in lolly art. I'm sure there is an overlap between people who are. I don't know if I'm saying something, by the way, that's inappropriate for stream. Just tell me.
So
But,
let's, I guess, let's
yeah.
just dissect this a little bit. So I'll ask the same question that I asked the other guy. So if you found out, let's say that I'm straight, okay? Let's say that I'm straight, hypothetically. And then you find out that I'm off to a lot of drawings of gay men having sex, right? You would probably say that I'm gay, right?
Not necessarily.
Really?
I know. I personally know straight women who masturbate to lesbian porn. So,
But like,
they're
you just believe that they're straight?
well, they have no interest in having any kind of sexual relationship with women.
Well, maybe not
but for whatever
well, the
reason.
thing is, like, maybe they don't want to do it for a bunch of reasons. I mean, they can't reproduce with them. Maybe they like dicks more than they like women. But like, I would still probably say that person is like bisexual at the very least, right? Like, if they're, because the thing they're off to is a drawing.
Well,
it is a drawing, obviously, but the drawing represents, and there's like a depiction with like human anatomy of like a human being having sex, right?
well, sexuality. So if we're talking about sexual preferences, it exists on a spectrum. Nobody well, it's very rare anyway. Nobody is like totally straight, totally gay. Like for me, for instance, I have no interest in men. I do find like trans women attractive. I've never like been interested in any trans people, but I do find them attractive. And if I knew somebody who was trans, I wouldn't be like against a relationship with them. It's just that I don't have any kind of preference towards trans people. You could say that's kind of slightly towards the spectrum of gay because they have a penis or something. There are also people who only have an interest in masturbating to like homosexual, but
So the
they
thing is,
never
like, from
do it
my
themselves.
perspective,
Like,
I guess
so, I don't know.
for me, I guess I just don't buy that somebody can be like not gay in real life, quote unquote, but jerk off to gay porn. Like, I just don't. That doesn't make. And
Well-
that doesn't make sense. Like, if you're off to a
Well,
guy
look,
having sex with a guy, you're probably gay or at least bisexual.
sure. So
right?
the point you're making is if you're off to like lolly, you probably have some sort of interest in children.
I don't think it necessarily means that you are going to a child in real life. Either because you think it would be bad for the child and, you know, there's like moral repercussions behind that, or because you think that, you know, it would have negative repercussions for you, like jail time. But I think that
Yeah, sure.
that person is probably, if they're attracted to cartoon of like a depiction of a child and it's clear in context that it is a child, and they're attracted to the idea of a child being abused by an adult, they probably are, yeah.
Well, I've talked to people in like who are lolicons, and they'll say to me they just like really cute things. And a young-looking female is just particularly cute the way they're drawn. It's not necessarily anything to do with their age. There's also like a dominance aspect to it where they're like really small, stuff like that. Like you can find.
The thing is, like,
plenty-
you can like petite women. Like, that's not the problem. But like lolicon in specific is a drawing of like a depiction of a child, like a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, that is like, you could
Well,
say they're
yeah,
just into
I
cute
mean-
things. Like, okay, I'm into cute things like cats. I'm not into cute things like kids. You know, like there is like a
Yeah.
distinction there.
Well, I would be very suspicious of somebody who's interested in lolicon content. But again, from my own personal experience talking to people within the lolly community, they have no interest in real children, at least the ones that I've talked to.
But if
Like,
they did have
don't-
interest in children, would they tell you?
Well, probably not. But again, like, look, I like watching, you know, like grape play, you know, and like where girls tied up and stuff. Does that mean I have an interest in actually like graping a woman? Like, no.
No, but you probably find like consensual non-consent hot, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And the point to the consensual non-consent is because the woman is actually consenting, but it's like role play in the context of the sex, then it's not because she consents, right? So
right.
So like to me, with that line of logic,
But I mean,
you would also,
does that make you? But I mean, does that make you suspicious that I would actually have non-consensual sexual intercourse with somebody?
not necessarily, but I'm not making the argument that every lolicon is going to rape a kid. I'm making the argument that they're attracted to kids.
Well, when they tell you that, okay, I'm not attracted to children, like they don't go to a public pool, look at a kid and get aroused. And they're just telling you, I just specifically like lolly art. I'm inclined to believe people when they tell you what they're actually interested in. You can be suspicious, sure.
The thing is, like, being a is not something that a would want to admit, right? Like, you ask most
well,
and they're like, oh no, even after they get caught.
Well, yeah, certainly, but I mean, if there are enough people who are unhinged on the internet where they will tell you, yeah, I'm into children. There have been quite a few channels on YouTube where they will actually defend the idea that it's okay to be I haven't met any lollies, aside from maybe one that said they're actually interested in children. Most of them do say they're not actually interested in children, they're just interested in lolly art. And again, like when you watch like shows like To Catch a Predator, or just watch any of these catchers on YouTube, like, have you seen any of them that are actually interested in lolly art? Because I've only ever seen these people have like actual CP content on their
maybe
phone.
not, but typically they're not going to volunteer everything. Like when they get to the Chris Hansen cache, they're not going to be like, oh, I also jerk it to drawings of the kids.
Right, but
I mean,
the point I'm making is I've never seen any TCAP sting. I've never seen any of these exposés on people where they are actual child predators and they're regular consumers of lolly content. So I don't think there's this huge overlap between lolly watchers and actual child predators that are interested in actual children. So when this person has like a relationship with Shad and is likely kind of interested in some of the lolly content he's made, I don't think that's like a damning thing where it's like, okay, this person's a predator. And so far from what I've seen with the
to be clear,
like leaked.
My take is basically I don't know that they're a predator in terms of did they actually diddle a child, Chris Tyson. I haven't seen evidence of that.
Well, yeah.
But to me,
what we're talking about is whether or not they have an interest in children.
Right. So to me, them being a lolicon is like bad enough, in my opinion.
Well, it is very strange that this person has added minors to their Snapchat. They've said some things on Snapchat that is right around the line. Is there any messages or anything where they've actually tried to proposition a minor?
No, and that's the only thing that I've been able to about those messages to say is like they're irresponsible and really weird, but they haven't actually tried to proposition a specific minor. That in specific interpretation, I agree with, but where we differ is on the lolly thing. But I do think that stuff, like the comfortability, making like weird comments with like people who are too young, the comfortability with that is very irresponsible, and that combined with the lolly thing, like these things being put together, makes you think that Chris Tyson is a freak. Right, like these things together, and like on the same account that they're publicly replying to Shadman, they're also publicly responding to like a 14-year-old, where like that 14-year-old can access what they're saying about Shadman, and like that kid can see that porn. Like that's all that put together is bad.
Yeah, and Shad has drawn actual like
children,
people, right?
Yes.
Like actual children.
Yeah.
So like he's drawing like Macaulay Culkin or something. Like
he drew Daphne Keane when she was 12 years old, getting raped by Hugh Jackman. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty.
Do you think that would make Shadman a pedophile or no?
No, not necessarily. He may just be making obscene art for the sake of making obscene art. But who knows? I can't go inside this person's mind. Like I think there are two interpretations of this that are equally valid. One interpretation is this person is likely very immature. Like we've seen her make a post on YouTube spreading revenge of that iCarly actress.
Like, is
So
immaturity like an excuse for actions? Like, I feel
no,
like it's not.
no,
you know?
but it's not an excuse. But what I'm pointing out is this person's probably immature. That might explain why they're okay with having conversations with children to begin with. They kind of see themselves as a bit of a child.
I agree.
Like
but that's not good. You know, that's still not good.
I'm not saying it's good, but what I'm saying is this may be an explanation for why they're comfortable with having conversations with children to begin with. Whereas it's not, it doesn't have anything to do with a sexual interest in children. And again, the Shadman stuff and the lolly crap, that may just be a particular interest in like lolly. And then on the other hand, it is equally valid to look at the summation of this evidence and say, this person may have a sexual interest in children, given the lolly content, given that they're talking to minors. Like, how old is Ava?
Ava is currently 26. They were 20 when this happened, and the person involved, Lava GS, the main person they're talking about, was 13 at the beginning.
Okay, yeah, that sounds more to me that this person's probably just very immature. I think there's another aspect to this too, because they came out as trans, because of this whole like LGBTQ, or I think that's.
I mean, certainly
a
as far as
big
like
factor.
as far as the media coverage, a lot of people are pushing that, and I don't like that. That's the reason, like the culture war stuff for those people, but that's not the reason for everyone. Like for Moist Critical, right, when he makes his video, I don't think it's because KRIS TYSON is trans, right?
Yeah. I don't think Moist Critical or Mudahar
Yeah.
is kind of making that assumption. But yeah, this person's 20, clearly immature. Like, you know, he's a YouTuber, and I think you tend to see immaturity in that kind of YouTuber content creator community. 20 years old when some of this happened. And again, I haven't seen anything where they're sexually propositioning anybody. Like, like what color
I agree.
panties
I haven't
do you
seen a
wear?
specific sexual proposition. I agree with that, and that is a distinction that needs to be made. But I still think what KRIS did is wrong.
Well, yeah, certainly. I don't think somebody should be sending a minor on Snapchat like "I'm coming for America," you know,
or like kissing emojis
something
or
to that
stuff like
effect.
that. Yeah.
Like, one thing too that I want to point out is kids who are around the age, like I would say between the age of like 12 and older, like they're all playing Grand Theft Auto. So when we're looking at this in the modern context with other media they may be consuming, they're all watching like YouTube reaction content with some age inappropriate stuff. They're all playing Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, games that include like a lot of graphic violence, including sexual violence. When Ava sends somebody something like that, who I think they were 15, or do I have that wrong? Like the Coming for America thing.
The Coming for America, I believe, is when they were 15. Yeah.
Yeah, that just isn't something to me where it really crosses the line. It's near a line, but it's not something that would cross the line. Like I rarely ever have any interactions with people that age, but when I was doing online consulting for like fitness programs, I had a Skype call with a Discord call with somebody. I think they were 16 and their profile name was Hentai Addict. So I obviously didn't talk about hentai with this person or anything. I just said, that's a hilarious name. That's as far as that went. So, like, I just feel like some people are taking some of these things incredibly uncharitably. And again, it may have something to do with her being trans, and it may have something to do with people being just very protective of children, which is, like, legitimate. But when I see something like that, I'm like, okay. I'm kind of gonna disregard that. If there's anything worse, like her sending, I don't know, artwork of Shadman to a minor, that's something that I would say, okay, that crosses the line. That's something I put in the evidence bin.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, I do gotta get out of here because I gotta piss, and then we gotta look at other stuff. But yeah, thanks for
Okay.
calling in. To people in chat, calling vegan gains, that is not cool. That is wrong. But anyway,
Yeah, I'm not.
yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here. Okay. To be clear, I have no. There is no indication vegan gains is. I do not agree with him. He is not a. Okay. That is. Call the police. He said when he was doing weight training stuff, he had a 16-year-old client who had the name Hentai Addiction. And he said, funny name, and they didn't have an interaction. So until there's evidence that vegan gains has done anything, do not call him. Okay? You people are. Anyhow.